Alright, so I will be answering Maggie's topicality argument against my own case, which is facial recognition technology. Maggie claimed, well, I'll just say now, Maggie claimed that since facial recognition technology applies to United States citizens and non-citizens, it's not topical, and she defined domestic surveillance as surveillance on United States persons and United States citizens. So this would be my argument if I were the 2AC. Alright, start now. Okay, Judge, so the negative team went on to say how our case is not topical because our case applies to United States citizens and United States non-citizens. And she brought up a definition on how domestic surveillance means that it's surveillance on United States citizens. However, this is simply not true. The definition, the resolution states that the United States federal government should substantially curtail its domestic surveillance. And domestic surveillance is defined by Petrikov in 2006, the editor of National Security Issues, stated that domestic surveillance means within the United States. Recourse to the plain meaning of the word provides some illumination. International communications might be viewed as referring to communications which extend across national boundaries or which involve two or more nations. However, foreign communications might be interpreted as referring to communications taking place wholly outside the United States. Therefore, domestic surveillance may be defined as communications carried on within the United States. Now there's a definition there talking about how domestic surveillance is communication that goes on within the United States of America. And facial recognition technology goes in, is a type of surveillance that goes on and communicates in the United States of America. Here's another definition here, and it states domestic means within the United States. That excludes foreign or international from Oxford Dictionary. It states domestic means existing or occurring inside a particular country. That again goes in to show how domestic surveillance is the surveillance that goes on within a country. Facial recognition technology goes on within the United States. It doesn't matter whether a person is a United States citizen or not. All that matters is whether this surveillance is only going on within the United States borders. And that is what is happening. Therefore, we are meeting the resolution and we are domestically surveilling. And the last card here states domestic means continuous United States. FSSI, the Federal Strategic Sourcing Initiative 2013. It states domestic is defined as the continuous United States, Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, going to point out, it says nothing about how it's about whether or not the United States citizens. It only goes to show how domestic surveillance is surveillance that goes on within the United States borders. And that is what we are doing within the affirmative case. Now, if going on to, if I could just find the freaking thing. Now, the standard for this argument is common man definition. The common man standard clarifies topicality based on a comparison of sources. The affirmative definition is clearly better because it is a common definition that everyone uses in everyday language. The affirmative's definition is not is a very confusing piece of rhetoric set out to create a loophole through which weaknesses in the resolution can be exploited. Instead, the affirmative's definition directly addresses the term in a realistic manner that best approaches direct clash and debate. Again, when you think of domestic, you think of the United States, you think of inside its borders. And that's what the affirmative team has provided. A real common man definition to show that we are in fact curtailing domestic surveillance because we're curtailing the surveillance that goes on within the United States borders. And with that, let's move on to blah 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 blah.